All right, guys, we're joined today by Liam Holmes from PH Nutrition. Liam has been part of the JST compete team for the last 3 or 4 years now. I think it's getting close to 4 years in helping and delivering nutritional information, advice, templates to all of our athletes, and basically just giving them that kind of like first step as to kind of what to do with the nutrition when they're following the program. Liam has been working hard over the last 6 to 12 months, developing something that can give a bit more in-depth insight and a bit more help into nutrition. And he's going to let us know about that now, what he's been working on. And then we're going to go through, we've got 6 of the kind of like the main nutrition questions that we get asked on the program. So Liam's just going to kind of dive into those and give us as much detail and answers as he can to help you guys out. So what's been going on, Liam? What have we got to give to you guys?
So we've been working hard on developing an online platform that people can use to supplement the JS Compete programming, all different biases. So it's called the PH Nutrition Hub. And look, I'm fully aware that not everybody needs one-to-one nutrition coaching. So we've developed an online platform that allows people to get a customizable nutrition plan, calories, macros, breakdowns, meal timings, everything is calculated for you. So we kind of remove that decision stress. But we also then have online courses and online programs such as how to improve your recovery, weightlifting, injury nutrition, how to eat through your menstrual cycle. So that kind of coming away from just calories and macros and providing that more kind of well-rounded support. So it's been a lot of work in the last, let's say, few months, but it's live. It's accessible for everybody to get involved, and hopefully they're going to get really can help supplement their JST programming and start to kind of see some serious results. So we've updated the nutrition guide as well recently. So lots going on.
Cool. And how will, let's just take the engine bias, for example, the guys that are on engine bias, how will their hub or what they sign up to differ to the guys that come in on the strength bias? Will there be any or?
Yeah, so we are developing specific courses and programs and advice for each bias. However, what you can do with the nutrition plans is tailor it. You can tailor the calories, the breakdowns, the macros, the timings to suit whether you're doing 1 a day, whether you're doing 2 a days, and like I say, whether you're doing more strength bias or something that we're going to go into now is also like if your goal is improving gymnastics, improving your engine, like you say, you can tailor the nutrition plan to it, but then also use all of the supplemental content such as timing of training. We've got a program on this, so if you train in the evening, train in the morning, like you say, you can fit the nutrition advice to your training setup.
Cool. And what's cool is that what you've explained there with how you're running things nutritionally, that's if you see how we're running things as a program, it's very much the same. Like, we don't expect every person to be able to have a one-to-one coach because it costs a lot of money. It's a bit more of a commitment. It's a lot of time. Potentially adds a bit of stress that you've got that one person to deal with. So by offering a program there that can be relatively customizable around the strengths and weaknesses, the lifestyle, the kind of information that we're putting out to help that is similar. It's the same type of information, but with the nutrition bear in mind rather than the training in mind. So it worked very well together as long as people if they can get all the information and the knowledge, and they can store it and they can make their own decisions. They're going to become better athletes and just become more clued up and be able to possibly help other people if they're also coaches as well.
Yeah, massively. Like, mate, you're exactly it. Like, there's so much information on the internet now, and it's very hard to find something that's applicable and kind of written by people that actually do what we do. So many people know what it's like to kind of get up at 6 a.m. and stick a barbell over your head, but then also have to do something else in the afternoon. as well as go to work, etc. So what we've done is centralized everything, and like I said, we're going to make it super specific to JST as well, and it's only £10 a month, because as you say, like one-to-one nutrition coaching, as well as PT, as well as things start to wrap up.
Well, I presume a nutrition coach is a couple £100 a month for a decent coach.
Yeah.
And for a training coach, it's a couple £100 as well. And a lot of this stuff can just be, if you don't need it, just like put in front of you.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of information, a lot of help, and a lot of specificity in your training, nutrition, just from kind of like using the resources that we're giving these guys. So
it's
raising levels, as they say, we're raising levels.
Exactly, and people can drop in and out of it, for that amount of time. So you don't like. There is a bit of pressure if you're signing up and working with someone one-on-one. It's a really good point you made there. Like, it can be it can almost be a little bit overwhelming. You've got to check in every week or follow something.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's the one thing. Like I've had, it was probably 5 years ago where a nutrition coach helped me, and the one thing that I found is that because this person's putting so much time and effort into my diet, I feel like I need to give them a lot of time, effort back to tell them how it's going. And sometimes I don't. I just want to eat what I'm eating, and it's sound, Liam. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I feel good.
Yeah, it's added stress.
Yeah. And it's a bit overwhelming, isn't it?
It is, mate. And yeah, like you say, it's something that I'm fully aware that not everybody takes nutrition as maybe as serious as I do as well. So they don't want me to be on them all the time.
I feel like we live mirrored lives, me and you, but in slightly different industries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully it's going to be of real value, for anyone that's got specific goals to increase strength, lose fat, be healthier. Now we're going to have a specific open program as well. So hopefully it's going to be a nice thing that people can that like I say, really get some value out of.
Cool, sweet. We'll move on to the questions.
Yes.
So we got six of the questions that are kind of the main questions that we're getting asked. So hope we can just shed some light on some good answers from there. First one: can I get stronger whilst in a calorie deficit?
The answer is yes. So I think people can often, you'll hear this a lot saying, oh, I can't max out, I'm in a calorie deficit, or, like they just think that because they're in a calorie deficit that their performance has to suffer. Now, obviously, to elicit a body composition change and lose fat, then there needs to be a calorie deficit. However, we can be sensible with our nutrition timing, and when we take that deficit to help with maintaining or even increasing performance levels. One of the things that we work on is, like you say, just a calorie deficit across the week is what you need, across 2 weeks, across a month. So maybe shifting slightly more calories pre-workout would be a sensible thing to do, so that instead of going into sessions underfueled and just focusing on post-workout nutrition, if you move some of it to pre-workout, you've got a little bit more circulating fuel, you hit the session with a bit more intensity, create a better stimulus because you hit more weight, hit more reps, whatever. So you can still improve your performance by doing that. And then away from the workout, that's when you can lower your intake when you don't necessarily need it. That's one really, really key point that we get people to do a lot, especially if they're doing maybe kind of 2 a day or training like 6 days a week, and you're trying to lose body fat. Like, you need to be thinking about timing your nutrition a little bit more, moving a bit more pre-workout. That's a really, really key thing to focus on. And then maybe looking at when you kind of like reduce your intake around rest days and stuff like this. So that's something that you can then you can look at. You can still get stronger in a calorie deficit, 100%. Like, strength, as you know, Steve, comes from so many different factors rather than just muscle mass. So from a technique point of view, from a neurological point of view, from maintaining your protein intake, these are really, really key points. So yes, you can still get stronger.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, like what determine getting stronger? So that means lifting more weight. So you can lift more weight by improving your bar path, improving your movement mechanics. Like, nutrition isn't going to be the only thing that's stopping you from getting stronger. Like it is a big element. But you know, putting in what Liam said there alongside, can you move better movement mechanics? Can you improve that bar path?
Yeah,
that's going to also potentially add 5 or 10 kilos onto lifts, which is then, although you're not necessarily from the bar path mechanics getting stronger, you're moving more weight because you're moving better, and you know, you're using gravity and biomechanics to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. So
that's it. And if you eat a little bit more going into workout, if you find yourself either kind of mid workout or towards the end of workouts kind of getting a little bit fuzzy, a little bit lightheaded, or you know, you're just constantly thinking about what you're going to eat post workout, then maybe eating a little bit more pre workout is going to improve your concentration levels. And if you're, like you say, if you're having to drill bar paths and movement mechanics, it's mentally taxing. So say sometimes going into a session feeling a little bit more like, right, okay, I'm ready to do this, rather than like underfueled. I think that's a really, really key point. So
definitely. Question 2: should I eat more protein on a should I eat more protein on a training day?
Yeah, protein is I think people that have been following me recently, I think I just seem to bang on about protein at the moment, but it's really crucial, guys, to keep protein relatively consistent across your week. I don't think that you should have like high days, low days. Protein should be relatively consistent because it's so crucial for so many different factors away from recovery and muscle function. So what I suggest that people do is to keep protein consistent, and then potentially just kind of like increase it slightly on training days if maybe you're doing you know, like a single session. However, if you're doing a double day or a really intense session, then if you look to increase your carbohydrates are what we call protein sparing. So if you've got more carbohydrates, it's actually going to prevent your body utilizing protein as an energy source. So more can be used as muscle building and all of these other physiological processes. So therefore, you don't necessarily need more protein on a training day. You probably just need more carbohydrates on a really intense day. And that's going to allow your protein to do its job, rather than being used as an energy source, which is relatively inefficient at doing. So I would suggest that people keep it relatively consistent across the week. Okay. When I say consistent across the week, I mean over the day, but also, so the daily intake, but also across each meal. Okay. What we don't want to try and do is have this skewed distribution where maybe like a massive bolus in the evening and that we don't really have enough in lunch times or at breakfast. So try to distribute it evenly across the day. And across each meal, and that would be a really, really key thing. That's going to help your recovery, and that's going to really help your recovery. But also, it's going to help you to maintain hunger levels, and you know, and not kind of hit those cravings where you just can't satisfy your you satisfy your meal and you're just constantly hungry. So keep it consistent, guys. No need to kind of have low days, high days with protein.
Sweet. And then this next question, I guess, kind of carries on a little bit off the back of what we say on the first question. Supplementation for strength gains, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so supplementation is a massive topic, and we'll definitely do another Q&A on this in the future. For fat loss, there's not really anything that helps from a supplement point of view. However, for strength, there really is. And one thing that I think, you know, a lot of people can have taken or should be taking is creatine. There's a little bit of a myth about creatine that it's gonna, I don't know, make your kidneys explode or I don't know, do something here, but it's not. It's really safe. You can take it really consistently through the year. So advice is to you don't necessarily need to be loading it either. You can take a dose 5 to maybe 8 grams, depending on how large you are, every single day. I recently put a post out about when to take it around workouts as well. So if they check that out. Cool. But yeah, taking it with some protein and carbohydrates helps. But take creatine. Really, it helps improve strength gains. Then the next one is vitamin D. Coming into winter, and if you are deficient in vitamin D, if you get your levels up to an adequate level, it can really help with muscle function, muscle recovery. So guys, if it's getting a little bit darker, maybe we're training in the dark, getting home in the dark, it's really, really essential to get vitamin D in. And then we're looking at other things such as like beta alanine. For those, especially on the engine bias, maybe those that are kind of starting to ramp up their, the amount of anaerobic kind of conditioning they're doing, getting ready for the open, in February. Beta alanine will be a really useful addition. Helps with kind of buffering lactic acid, lactate buildup. So you get a little bit more reps, kind of delay that fatigue. So we're thinking about how we get stronger is by progressive overload, and beta alanine helps us to do that. So, straight off the bat, those three there, and then you may be looking at zinc as well, guys. So again, zinc is a really good additional nutrient to be having in your diet at the moment. Really important for immune function, but also for improving strength from a hormone point of view and muscle function point of view. So those are my 4 take homes I would definitely say to people to get into their diet at the moment.
Do you want to know the 3 supplements? The 4 supplements that I take?
Go on.
Creatine, vitamin D, zinc.
Yeah, good man. We didn't even rehearse that, Steve. We didn't even know that.
There we go.
Look, you're boxing it off. And then
nailed it.
Yeah, so 100%, like, you're doing the most bang for your buck, the things that have like actual efficacy in terms of increasing strength. Now, there are other things, guys, that are being shown promise. And again, we'll cover them in a specific ones, but you've got to do the basics first before you start kind of adding all of these extra ones.
So they are supplements for the name to supplement what you're doing, aren't they? So
good. Makes me happy you're taking them as well. That's good.
There you go. I've been taught well.
Yeah.
Cool. Next question. Specific nutrition considerations for improving your gymnastics.
Yeah, I love this question because I think gymnastics is, maybe you can give me some insight into this as well, Steve. Like, people often think gymnastics is something that is a little bit lighter in terms of like the session, like, oh, it's just a gymnastics session, I maybe don't have to eat, or it's like something I can just kind of, roll into. Whereas, compared to like a weightlifting or like a Metcon side of things, they don't necessarily feel that they work as hard. The way that I set people's nutrition plan up for gymnastics is to identify what your limiting factor is. So is your limiting factor that actually, if you improved your power to weight ratio by dropping a few kilos, you're going to massively improve your power to weight ratio. You're going to improve your efficiency. It's going to be easier for you to do handstand push-ups, pull-ups, double unders, etc., because you got less timber to shift. Or is it a strength issue? Now, is it actually that you need to get a little bit stronger to pull or stronger to push when you might be relatively lean, but actually you just haven't got the strength, power output or capacity to maintain, and that's where you need to kind of work on. So if you need to lose a little bit of weight and improve your power to weight ratio, then you can set your nutrition up to go into, like certain sessions, or overall kind of, your setup is to lose a bit of body fat.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going, your strength, again, it goes back to that pre-workout nutrition. Don't think that gymnastics is some light session that you don't need to fuel for. Go into it and get that kind of, make sure that you've got fuel in the tank, and that you can really push during that session, and that you're not just kind of doing a few reps and fatiguing and then stand there looking at the bar, or face planting off a handstand push-up because you haven't got enough energy to kind of complete that workout. So identifying the limiting factor and then aligning your nutrition to that would be my key thing. Definitely.
I think the power to weight ratio is definitely something that's overlooked in gymnastics training. It's always like I don't ever encourage people to like weigh themselves every single day, but you've got to know where you're at. We all know how hard it can be to do a set of pull-ups with 5K vest on.
Yeah.
And like some days you might just weigh that few kilos heavier for whatever reason here and there. That can make a difference to some of your training sessions. Like I say, it's not about weighing yourself every single day, but just being aware of like factors that might hinder or help your performance.
That's it. That's it. Like if you're super strong, you know, is if you're looking at the Open or any competition, if you're super strong, you know, cleaning like 130 or whatever you want, 140, you know, and that you know that the strength element in any workout you're good at. So is focusing on putting an extra 2.5 kilos on your clean and jerk going to make a difference? Probably not. Yeah. But then you can only do, you know, 15 chest to bars or whatever unbroken before you got to come down, because you're carrying a tiny bit of extra. So yeah, I think for me, then I'm like looking at that going, if I improve, if I drop it, like say my power to weight ratio goes up, I'm going to be flying through workouts.
Yeah.
And my strength might not go up, but I can still maintain that. It's just like you say, that efficiency is going to be so much better.
Definitely. Next question: any tips for monitoring weightlifting? Any tips for morning weightlifting sessions? I'm finding it tough now to get motivated while it's dark.
Yeah, like I said in the start, there's not many people that know what it's like to get up at 5:30 and snatch at 6 a.m. So again, it goes back to kind of workout nutrition a little bit, but making sure that the day before, that if you're training the day before, making sure that you're eating enough kind of post-workout to help recover and replenish. So if you are going to go into that session fasted, totally cool. Absolutely fine to train in a fasted state if that works for you. However, if you're finding it now that it's a little bit more challenging, or maybe your technique's getting a bit better, so you're sticking more weight on the bar, then I would say like making sure you're eating enough the day before, but then think about maybe utilizing something pre-workout. We're actually going to put out like a bit of a sliding scale of pre-workout stuff. So the closer you get to the workout, it should be more liquid and carbohydrate based. For example, if you're training at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I don't expect people to be getting up at 4 a.m. and cooking eggs and bagels. So you got to be maybe thinking about using a carbohydrate powder, fruit juice, a small snack, maybe some dried fruit such as apricots or dates or raisins or whatever. Something that is actually going to be digested relatively quickly and isn't going to be sitting on the stomach and causing you, gastric issues. So you could, if you're training at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., 30 minutes, 45 minutes beforehand, using something that's going to say, just give you a little bit of circulating fuel and going to help with that power output and getting through that session is going to be super important. One thing that we use with a client, and I've said this a couple of times on Q&As, is we had a guy who was training fasted, and then after the workout, he was taking a recovery shake of protein and carbohydrates, then eating a breakfast within 20-30 minutes of that. So I said to him, why don't you move your recovery shake to pre-workout, because you're having almost 900, 800 calories post-workout, but nothing pre. And he felt like he was hitting a bit of a plateau. Moved his recovery shake to 30, 40 minutes beforehand, went into the session with a tiny bit of fuel in his tank, in the tank. And he was like, 2 sessions in, he was like, mate, it's a game changer. Now he's distributed his calories a little bit more evenly because he wasn't just loading them up post-workout. So guys, if you're thinking about, like you say, just giving that a little bit of motivation, maybe just putting a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of carbohydrates, and a little bit of protein in pre-workout from a liquid-based source, or a really small, easy to digest snack. That would be my advice.
There you go. Stick something down your neck in the car on the way to the gym.
There you go. Yeah, super easy.
Jobs are good.
Yeah,
jobs are good. Cool. Last question. I've never heard this question before. Should women take creatine?
Yeah. Yes. It's not a gender specific nutrient or supplement. Like, everybody can take creatine. Women especially. If you are training intensely twice a day or longer sessions, and also like we talked about the gymnastics, if strength is your issue, then creatine is proven to improve your power output and strength. Like I said, I think people can get a little bit worried about water retention with creatine and like some of the other issues. Like, yes, some people can increase the amount of water that they hold with it. Although that we see that that's less with the more maintenance dose of like 5 to 8 grams, rather than like taking 20 grams. you know, that's when we see a tiny bit more kind of those issues. So for me, women 100%, and it will be a real improvement. I guarantee if you take it consistently, I think you'll see some good results. There's loads of research out there. Creatine is completely safe for everybody to be taken, and I would highly recommend it, especially during, you know, if you're on the strength bias, if you're not really taking it, you know, maybe start it and see how you get on. And then, like I say, going into like a really hard training block, a really intense training block would be highly recommended to get in.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I can. I remember going through stages where I do take it, I don't take it, and I can't remember going through a stage where I am taking it, where training and strength work, you know, is going bad. Like, I always feel good from when I'm taking it, whether it's slightly placebo as well or not. But you know, every time I've gone through and made sure I'm getting consistent with my creatine, weight moves well.
Yeah,
that's what everyone wants.
That's key. You've got to be consistent. Most supplements, there's very few supplements that have an acute benefit, like caffeine does. So like you take caffeine, you get an effect, like an ergogenic effect. Most things are taken that you need to consistently load them. So like it's a saturation thing. So same with like vitamin D, you need to bring your levels up to an adequate level. Beta alanine, you need to saturate your muscles with carnosine to help with that. Same with creatine, it needs to be in your body. So it won't happen if you just take it twice a week. You know, you won't see the real benefits of it. So yeah, be consistent with it, guys. So see some good results.
Sweet. Well, that's all our questions covered. Hopefully some good insights, and for the guys on JST, we'll follow you up with some more in-depth Liam's and my kind of breakdown of the hub, what's in there as well, a little video where he's voiced over. So expect to see a link popping up into the Fitter inbox and on the communities. And for anyone that's keen on taking nutrition another step further, and whether it's just educating themselves to help them as an athlete or a coach, or to help them, you know, make some better decisions around their own food. Either way, I'm sure there'll be some way that it can help everyone going forward.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Liam.
No, pleasure, mate. It's been great.
And I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, we'll catch up. We'll do another one of these relatively soon. And like I said, we'll be a bit more consistent with the advice that we offer. And anyone needs, just like I say, reach out to me, social media, email, message, and I'll put them in the right direction.
Sweet. Nice one.
Good stuff.